Welcome to my training series called Build Your Best-Selling Book Blueprint. I'm excited to have you on this course because I know what's ahead for you. If you take action on what you learn here, you will be able to write a top quality book that is positioned in the marketplace to sell extremely well. And on top of that, you'll be able to help a lot of people. Now first, let's go over how to make the most of this program. I recommend that you go through each session twice. First, just to let the information settle in, get an idea of the topic. But the second, to really get deep with it, go through the material with the idea of how can I apply this to my situation. You need to reflect on it and use it to change your course for the future. 2, take notes, either by hand on old-fashioned paper or by the computer. One way or the other, keep track of your questions, your progress. And third, and most importantly, is take action. Information alone will not change your life, but information that you take action on will make a huge difference. And so it's important that you're seeking out the right material here and the right guidance. That's critical, and I applaud you. But you won't get your book written if you don't take action on the material itself. And a second thing about technology. It doesn't matter if you use notebooks or you use a computer. It's very important to put together a system where you can actually access the material that you're learning. It kind of seems obvious. However, I've ended up with pieces of paper all over my house without me trying to figure out, where was that paper that I needed for that question. So I highly recommend that you take time as you're starting this new course to put together a technology, a system that will help you keep track of all the material and the questions in your plans. Now let me introduce myself. I'm Carmen Berry, New York Times bestselling author and the mother of this darling little girl named Janae. I started out as a social worker wanting to help people, but I burnt to a crisp right away. Now, I took that burnout experience and turned it into my first book called When Helping You is Hurting Me. I love helping people by sharing my insights, struggles, failures somewhat, and my successes. I've made a highly successful writing career by turning the challenges I face in life into self-help books. Books that have sold over 1.5 million copies, by the way. I've learned how to turn my messes into messages and my mistakes into manuscripts. Enough about me. Let's talk about you. You have a fantastic idea for a self-help book or for a memoir, and you know it's going to help people. In fact, there are people out there struggling with the problem that you know how to solve. You may have tried to grow beautiful tomatoes or deal with something just much more complex and difficult, like surviving the loss of a loved one or some sort of major life crisis. The good news is that you know how to do that, and there are people out there scratching their heads wondering, how can I solve this problem? Not only are there just a couple of people, my guess is there are hundreds, thousands, and maybe even millions of people who have the same problem you had. And they want to know how to solve their problem. You have the answer. But now we have a problem. There are challenges that you must scale in order to get your idea into a book and have that published and into the hands of the people who can really benefit from it. If no one buys your book, no one will be helped by your book. You can have the best idea in the whole world, but if it doesn't turn into a book that these people can buy, it's really not going to have an impact. You have a solution that you can't get to them. They have a problem and they need your solution. It's a lose-lose situation if no one buys your book. But everyone wins when you win. You win, Your readers win, and believe it or not, I win, because I have a passion for teaching people how to write quality books that sell. I really want to make an impact on this world, and I want to make it through you. When you succeed, I succeed, and the world becomes a better place. But let's not pop the cork too quickly and celebrate your success, because there are a few things we need to do first. The first is turn your fantastic idea into a top quality book. To get you across that finish line, let's look at the 4 steps necessary to writing books that sell. The first is strategize. Create the blueprint for your bestseller. That's what this course is all about. I'm walking you step by step through the process of creating a blueprint, a publishing plan that will set your book apart from the thousands of books out there clamoring for attention. Now, along the way, I've created a list of no-nos, and the first one I'm going to share with you is the idea that so many first-time authors become enamored with their idea or intrigued with their own personal stories that they cannot imagine that the rest of the world isn't enamored or intrigued as well. But alas, most people in the world are more concerned about themselves. That's their focus. They're not going to buy a book from you just because it's yours. And they won't buy a book from me just because it's mine. They need to have answers to their problems. They're going to buy a book that gives them solutions. And it's all about them. You may have a great story, and I believe you do, but it needs to be presented in a way that tells the reader it will help them. The next vital step is developing a detailed outline. There are 4 basic book structures that most self-help books follow. You need to know and understand the purpose of these formulas and adapt the one that best suits your book. And I have training and material on that. Now, my next big no-no is to be resistant to outlining. Let's face it, we're creative people. We don't wake up in the morning and go, oh, gee, I wish I could make an outline today. No, we have all these ideas, and we're putting thoughts and insights together, and we're pulling out our experiences and putting it together with other people's experiences. It's all very fun to be creative. But alas, books have structural requirements. They are linear. In the English tradition, books are printed on 2-dimensional sheets of paper, starting at the top left-hand corner at the top of the page, moving horizontally across. Books have beginnings, they have middles, and they have ends. They are highly structured. And if you want to be highly successful, it requires your full cooperation with the realities of this art form. The third step is to skillfully communicate to your reader in writing. Now, that seems like a silly statement. Of course, writers are going to communicate with their readers in writing. Well, not always. Sometimes we imply, or we skip a thought, or we say something too many times. I can teach you a set of skills, including using the right tone of voice, crystal clear understanding of your reader, the ability to use story illustrations effectively, and making sure that what you want to say is actually put into words. My third big no-no is speaking over the heads of your readers. When I started out in the publishing industry a few decades ago, I was told I needed to write at the 9th grade level, even though my self-help book was focused towards adults. I thought that was low at the time, and it took a lot of work to get my language and sentence structure to the right level. However, today the grade level has been lowered to the 6th grade. The English-speaking world is reading more quickly, tolerating shorter chapters, using simpler vocabulary and less complicated sentences. So be careful that you're not speaking over the heads of your audience or missing your audience altogether. The fourth step is to use professional editors. There are 4 kinds of editors: developmental editors, structural editors, copy editors, and proofreaders. A developmental editor helps you put together your business plan, your book plan, just like I'm doing now. So that's the role I'm playing in your book process right now. A structural editor helps you put together the actual book, making sure that the outline is right, it's logical, and you have everything you want to include in it, and you haven't said the same thing 2 or 3 times. A third is the copy editor. They work with the wording itself and making sure that the paragraphs are well written, they flow, you're not using the same kind of sentence structure repetitively, and making the whole book sound right and read correctly. And lastly is the proofreader, and thank God for proofreaders because I can't spell it all. They will go through your manuscript and make sure that it is pristine and ready for publication. My 4th big no-no is to skip the editing. I've heard people say things like, I'm going to ask my sister's husband's brother-in-law's cousin by marriage to read it over. Well, you know, that is a fabulous idea. If your sister's husband's brother-in-law's cousin by marriage is a professional editor. But if they're not, seek the professional help you need, depending on where you are in your book. Now, these 4 steps need to be taken in sequence. You need to strategize first, structure your book next, write your book, and then get it edited. As you can see from this diagram, how unfortunate it is that a lot of writers, first-time writers, jump directly to the 3rd step. They sit down and start writing their books when there's 2 steps that need to happen before that occurs. I'm impressed, really impressed, when I meet somebody who actually hands me a completed manuscript. I know how hard it is to write a book and actually finish it. So I admire people. But I also have a sense of sadness when I see these books because I'm concerned that they haven't done the strategy and the structuring. So the book may not actually be sellable and may not actually get out there in the way it needs to help people. Your book is your love letter to the world. I want to help you write a book that communicates your love in a way that genuinely has impact. You can't help all of the people you could help if no one buys your book. It's critical that you walk through these 4 steps in order to maximize your chances of writing a top quality book that sells and sells and sells. Now let's talk about our writing assignment today. What are Carmen's 5 no-nos? I recommend that you just sit down and answer these questions right off the top of your head really quickly, and then you can see how much you actually are retaining. And then you can go back and listen to it again and really see what you need to learn and grasp. The second, the italicized question is really the most important. It's applying this information to your life. Which of these mistakes might get you off track? Maybe there's more than one. And how can you avoid them? The second question, what are the 4 steps in writing books that sell? Now, right now we're working on your book plan. So what are the challenges you're going to face? What questions do you have right now about your book plan? What do you need to learn about more? 3, what are the 4 types of editors? And what kind of editor do you need right now, and what will you need in the future? You might want to keep your eyes open for good editors, or of course you can always contact me. And 4, what did you learn that will change how you write your book? That's the most important question. How will you proceed in a different way because of this training session you've gone through? What are the mistakes you're going to be able to avoid? You're going to be able to move through this so much faster and more effectively because you're taking this training. Now, I'm here to help you. I am here. I provide classes, I provide tapes and trainings and individual coaching. So get in touch with me. My website is www.carmenberry.com. You can email me at carmenthebookcoach@gmail.com, and you can even call me at 626-616-9129. I offer a free initial assessment, and I would love to work with you.